Hello, Joe here. I'm a musician, I'm a composer, and I like talking about music right here on this channel for your eyeballs to consume. Miles Davis's On the Corner was recorded and released in 1972 and was Davis's 48th studio album. Suddenly my SoundCloud isn't looking very impressive. Released under Columbia Records, the album was his attempted return to commercial success, and theoretically it had everything going for it, but a blunder by his record label made sure that it unfortunately didn't go that way. Nowadays, On the Corner is known as one of jazz's most controversial albums, and that is exactly what we will be talking about today. Please like the video and please subscribe and please hit the bell button. Also, maybe consider leaving a comment, say hello, I like chat, I might respond. Anyway, let's go. So, this album was released slightly later in Miles Davis's career. He had gone through the trials and tribulations that young jazz musicians have to go through, and he had long passed the zenith of his commercial popularity. Nonetheless, the times leading up to On the Corner were not unsuccessful for Davis. He was already a legend in the jazz scene, having composed and performed all around the world with countless famous artists. And just a year before, his album Brew had reached gold status, the first in his already decades-long career. Miles Davis, up until this point, was doing just fine. However, in the 70s, jazz musicians were beginning to observe a significant decrease in popularity for the genre. Albums and singles would no longer fly off shelves, and ticket sales for shows were diminishing. A whole load of factors could be attributed to this. Historians can never agree, but Miles Davis saw one primary cause. Young African Americans were becoming less and less interested in jazz, experimental or otherwise. Black teens and young adults, a large portion of Davis's target market, were now more interested in rock and roll, abandoning Davis, Herbie Hancock, John Coltrane and others for the black, funk and rock stars of the day, James Brown and Sly and the Family Stone. Sly and the Family Stone. That's a very 70s name. Davis's solution for this problem was a new album, an album which captures Davis's experimental jazz fusion style, but with new references and inspirations from rock, funk, and even contemporary classical music, which if you're familiar with Stockhausen, you'll know is far from easy listening. Miles himself stated that he wanted this album to reach young African Americans above everyone else that he wanted. Theoretically, the album could have actually done quite well. It had all the makings of a fun, funk-infused, experimental piece of music. However, Columbia Records, Davis's label, made a huge mistake in which audience they targeted the album. Instead of advertising to young black Americans as Davis wanted, they instead marketed to an older audience, an audience which had already grown comfortable with Miles Davis's signature style, and with whom this dangerously status quo breaking album would not resonate. Older people generally don't like being challenged, and that's exactly what this album did. On the Corner was released on the 11th of October 1972, and was dead on arrival. The album was almost universally panned by critics, an insult to the intellect of the people, repetitious crap. That music is worthless, it means nothing, there is no form, no content, and it barely swings. Even the musicians who performed on the album themselves hated it. Dave Liebman, the saxophonist, said that he didn't think much of it. Oof, that is cutting. Commercially, the album performed terribly, peaking at only 156 on the Billboard 200. People just didn't want it. The target audience wasn't interested in the sound, which focused on rhythmic rather than melodic improvisation, and it missed the ears of the young African Americans that Davis was so eager to get to. This catastrophic failure signified the end of Miles Davis's decades-long period in the spotlight, and from then on, he would recede from the mainstream, composing for smaller ensembles and with labels taking smaller financial risks on his projects. Over time, as with most pieces of revolutionary art, audiences began to warm to On the Corner. Critics outside of jazz began to catch wind of the album and were realizing that this beast of music, rejected by jazz musicians, was so much more than any one genre. It was a visionary piece of individual art. In 2014, Stereogum praised On the Corner as one of the greatest records of the 20th century, and easily one of Miles Davis's most astonishing achievements. Observing the album's mix of funk guitars, Indian percussion, dub production techniques, loops that predict hip-hop. This album, in many people's opinions, foreshadowed musical genres that hadn't even been invented yet. On the Corner, with its focus on rhythm over melody, was the culmination of Miles Davis's decade-long journey towards his African musical heritage. Nowadays, many famous musicians cite the album as an influence, and it seems the artistic community has redeemed Miles Davis's spurned work. However, these glowing opinions are not shared by everyone. The critic Mark Fisher, writing for The Wire in 2007, said that the passing of time often neutralizes and naturalizes sounds that were once experimental. But retrospection has not made On the Corner's febrile, bilious stew any easier to digest. Oh my god. Febrile bilious stew. I don't even know what that means. Many jazz musicians, although not all of them, obviously, feel the same way, viewing On the Corner as nothing more than Davis's lukewarm attempt at appealing to the kids. Whatever your opinion, albums like this highlight that Miles Davis was a maverick. He cared about financial success and he wanted to be famous and popular, but he also was a revolutionary artist who very often said fuck you to the norm, threw caution to the wind, and made whatever the hell he wanted. Sometimes work like that takes time to be appreciated, and I think we're getting there. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe if you want to see more, click the bell button to be notified when I upload, and please like the video. It really helps. Like seriously, it really helps. Until next time.